I am not even going to give my standard introduction. We are on some real talk right now. I want to make it clear that I have been a Silent Hill fan since I was 13 years old, and I am about to be 33. We're talking 20 straight years of being a die-hard Silent Hill fan, okay? I've gone on record multiple times saying that Silent Hill 2 is the most meaningful piece of art in my meaningless life. It shaped the way that I view art, it shaped the way that I interpret art, and I am giving that pretext because I want you to know that I just sat through the state of play and the Silent Hill transmission, okay? And I want to tell you that I think that the Silent Hill 2 remake looks pretty damn good, okay? And if you immediately want to click off, please just give me 30 seconds, okay? Just hear me out for 30 seconds, okay? Silent Hill 2 has always been janky. Silent Hill 2 remake looks a little bit janky, okay? But I would say strictly only in the animation department. The voice acting, you could argue that maybe the voice acting is a little bit janky in the wrong connotation comparatively to the original game, okay? But other than that, what else upsets you about the game? If you are upset about anything other than what I just said, please tell me in the comments because I need to know. Because I watched both things multiple times, and my overall opinion is that we are at an 85% on the perfect scale, okay? This game looks fucking fantastic. I have not played a lot of Bloober's games, but I am willing to admit that, yeah, they don't do a lot of this heavy subject matter in the right way, okay? But generally speaking, from everything they've ever shown regarding this game, apart from like a little thing that they showed off today, storyline-wise, it looks 98% exactly the same, okay? And I've always said, if Bloober Team doesn't change the story and keeps it one-to-one, then we literally have nothing to worry about, okay? But even if they do change some things or expand on some things, it really just depends on how they tackle it. Because if they only change a couple things here and there, no matter what, the overall story will be the same, okay? And I don't think that Bloober Team, with the amount of pressure that just regardless of what studio remakes Silent Hill 2, I don't think Bloober Team, with the pressure of already having some kind of negative connotation with the way that they handle those types of subjects, on top of being the studio that's remaking Silent Hill 2, I don't think that they're going to try to do anything out of what they should be doing, okay? If they expand on some things, such as the idea of the way that Angela views the world and the way that Eddie views the world, as long as they keep it grounded to what the story is saying, I am 100% okay with that expansion. Storyline-wise, so far, it looks great. The only thing that they have ever shown so far regarding this game that has genuinely made me concerned about the writing of the game is two things: the reap what you sow from the last trailer, and then this new dialogue strictly from Angela, which I will play right here.
I'll be good, I promise. Tell him I'll be good, please.
This dialogue gives credence to the idea that Bloober Team may not be handling this correctly. But that is a microcosm of everything they've already shown, which is pretty fucking faithful, okay? Everything looks a little bit more cinematic. That is to be expected. They redid James's face pretty significantly from the original trailer, and I personally never had a problem with James's redesign from the original trailer, and a lot of people seem to have some sort of problem with it. I would personally be fine with that original character model just as is now, but they have since redone his character model, and I think either one looks totally good. The new one, I do prefer the new one, for the record. I do prefer this new look that James has. I think he looks fucking great. It's the perfect balance of a little bit new and keeping with the old. But I mean, like, every single thing that this trailer showcased is pretty much almost exactly what I wanted in terms of visuals, atmosphere, and the combat. I've gone on record saying that the combat in Homecoming as a template is pretty okay. It just needed some tweaking in order to make it feel better than it actually is. And from what I'm seeing here in both trailer and presentation is just Homecoming's combat, but significantly improved, okay? And really, like, that's all I need out of a remake of Silent Hill 2, because, like, let's be real with ourselves. I'm going to say what 1,000 people have already said. The Silent Hill 2 remake is aping off the Resident Evil 2 remake in terms of camera, gameplay, and combat. But I mean, you can't make Silent Hill 2 again with the budget nowadays. Like, there's no way you can do that, okay? And I think with all of that in mind, like, would I prefer a Silent Hill 2 remake with the same camera and the same combat system? I'm going to be real with you. I don't know. Like, okay, real talk, you can't just make Silent Hill 2 again. With the modern landscape of video games, you just can't do that. And there are a lot of people that don't understand that or refuse to acknowledge that that's a reality that a lot of companies at the level that Konami is at have to deal with. You could argue, like, just make it a lower budget game, but then you would have a flock of people being like, why even remake it at all? Why not just make a port of it? If you're going to remake a game with the pedigree of Silent Hill 2 and be at the stature of power and like fame that Konami is at, you can't just make Silent Hill 2 again. You need to modernize it, and you need to make it just like even a little bit more generally appealing. I personally think that Bloober has found an incredibly fine balance from what they've shown here. It seems a little bit more modern. It's very akin to RE2 make, and that's fine. You know, Silent Hill and Resident Evil were always very similar, but always very different. And I think that finding the similarity again between the two in the mechanical aspect is the best middle ground. You have Resident Evil being kind of like a little bit more grounded, a little bit more innately mechanical, as opposed to Silent Hill that has always been so much more esoteric, so much more psychological. And with the original Resident Evil, the mechanical difference was the tank controls, the fixed cameras, and the limited inventory. And the mechanical difference was in Silent Hill, the non-static fixed cameras that would occasionally show up, and the non-limited inventory. But then everything else, generally speaking, was totally different. But that middle ground of just being like, okay, Silent Hill 2 Remake will play similarly to Resident Evil, but then all of the extra baggage that comes with the Silent Hill game being completely different than a standard Resident Evil remake or a standard modern Resident Evil, I personally think is the right way to do it. This showcase completely sold me, right? The trailer and the presentation that they showed both allude to my personal number one thing that I wanted added to the Silent Hill 2 remake, which is a fully explorable town with new areas. The trailer showed off a post office. It was a hard shot on a post office. And that post office, I believe, is technically in the original game, but it's not somewhere that you can explore. They don't showcase any exploration in the post office, presumably. The trailer shows a diner, which is definitely a new location, and not one that I'm even sure off memory is even in the original game. But that is my #1 want and desire from a Silent Hill 2 remake, and that is make the town a small open world that you can just explore, find new locations, find little secrets. And I'm even personally okay with like a modern, like the way that Resident Evil 7 specifically kind of let you collect coins to pay for upgrades for your character. Like you would be able to upgrade your maximum health, your maximum stamina, or you would be able to like save up if you wanted to and get a magnum revolver. I would be okay with that sort of idea being implemented in a Silent Hill 2 remake that is a lot more open. But I mean, I sincerely mean what I'm about to say. The Silent Hill 2 remake looks about 85% perfect. I'm not going to sit here and say I have no qualms with what they've shown. Like I said, the animations are a little bit weird. They could be fixed up. The one animation in particular that I am actively disappointed with is strictly the one that the finisher move. Because like that move should be a full thrust from like above the shoulder down to really hit home like the enemy on the ground. But it appears that like James is starting at it from his chest, and it doesn't have nearly as much visceral impact as something like that should. The new dialogue with Angela that is briefly shown in the trailer where she's like, I'm gonna be good, that does give credence and alludes to potential mishandling of her character. But like I've said before, every other thing they've shown regarding the dialogue has been basically 100% perfect, okay? Despite what everybody believes about Bloober Team and the way they handle these kinds of topics, I don't think that they're going to stray too far off from the original concept. Another thing that does kind of not worry me, but like concern me to some extent, is the way that Silent Hill 2 Remake seems to be handling the other world. And I've been spoiler free this whole time. I'm going to still be spoiler free. But Silent Hill 1 in particular, its other world is what you think of if you are just a casual Silent Hill fan. The most casual. Like if you just know that Silent Hill exists and you know that it is a foggy world that turns into a rust-covered spooky world, that rust-covered spooky world is the world that Silent Hill 1 portrays. Silent Hill 2's spooky otherworld is like dilapidated, wet, and like covered in fabric. And the trailers have always shown a bunch of stuff covered in fabric. And there's a point in the presentation that is a one-to-one of what I think a modern version of the otherworld in Silent Hill 2 should look like. But there are a lot of instances that I will be showing right here where it is very strictly looking like Silent Hill 1's otherworld. Concerned is a harsh word, but I mean, if one of my biggest concerns is, hey, they kind of put Silent Hill 1's otherworld and meshed it with Silent Hill 2's otherworld, if that's one of my biggest concerns, I think we're doing pretty damn good, okay? Another one of my concerns has always been the way that Bloober Team handles like notes and documents. Silent Hill has always been a franchise that I've admired for its handling of its world building and its and the documents that you find in it that always allude to themes of the game, but never outright explicitly tell you the themes of the game. One of my favorite examples, specifically in Silent Hill 2, where you find a document in the hospital documenting a patient that experiences some sort of form of the other world. But the patient isn't like just blatantly James Sunderland with his name scratched out. It's just a patient that is like experiencing a psychosis and like dealing with some sort of like regret or I can't remember specifically, but like some sort of like emotional baggage, and then they connect it with the other world. But you can so clearly, easily make the connection between James and this person, and there's nothing directly correlating the two, but you know that instinctively that there is some sort of connection that is left vague, but the document is well written, and it makes your mind wander about like that patient and the life that they've lived and like all of these things. And that has always been one of my biggest concerns, because Bloober Team, generally up until at least now, I've not played The Observer, but I've played Layers of Fear, and I played a little bit of Blair Witch. But like a lot of those documents that you find in those games are just like in Layers of Fear specifically, you'll find documents that are like just clearly your character being a dick with their name scratched out. And that doesn't allude to anything. That's just so clearly your character sucks. Your character is dealing with what is literally written on this page. And while we don't get a lot of documents in this trailer, in the presentation, you do get two specifically. James finds a note that says, and I quote, "If you're reading this, leave. This place is not what it seems. There is another side to it. Hidden behind a rest, thin as paper. Sometimes you just hear..." I believe that is a typo, but they do need to fix that. "Sometimes you're just here to look behind." And then later you find another document that says, "The director requested the files of 3 crucial patients. You know which ones. Could you please bring them to his office?" This may not seem like a lot, but as far as the track record that Bloober has had with their documents and their files, this is big, okay? Like, the fact that it's not overt. The first one's less subtle than the second one, but the fact that like it's not just like a letter that James wrote that has been scratched out or something that he found, and he's like, "Oh, what's this?" Like, that says to me that Bloober understands finally what makes these notes important, to me at least. I don't know if I can properly really explain the hype that I am currently feeling. I'm serious. This trailer and the showcase not only sold me, but convinced me that Bloober Team understanding of what made the original game good. The atmosphere is on point. The graphics and the art direction on point. The storytelling is the place that they need to prove themselves, and they obviously can't show a lot of the storytelling in just like these trailers. Silent Hill 2 is a weird one because like all of the Silent Hill games, I can give or take the story. As long as I'm kind of like bathing in that atmosphere, I'm home and I'm happy. Silent Hill 2 is the one outlier where you need to find that balance between the two. So that's kind of why I say I'm at 85% perfect. I would be lower if they hadn't already shown that they are following what seems to be the story to a T. This last trailer skewed from that slightly, but I'm okay with some changes. Even in the story department, I'm okay with some changes as long as they're minor and as long as they don't dwell on them a lot. But I'm significantly more okay with gameplay and locations and mechanical changes. And that is strictly what this presentation showed. I think this game has the potential to be fantastic. I think right now, it's basically guaranteed to be at the very least good. I don't know if I've said it on this channel, but I have said between friends and personally and on Twitter, if Silent Hill 2 Remake is a 7 out of 10, I'll be ecstatic. If it's anything more than that, I'll be over the moon with joy. And these trailers and this presentation convinced me that we are at the very least a 7 out of 10. I love your face, I love your show. Thank you so much for watching, and you bet your ass I will be playing this game when it comes out.